Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. I'm filming in my car again today because the house is busy, so I'm working with what I've got. Today I'm going to be reviewing My Brother's Husband Volume 2 by Gengoroh Tagame. And I read Volume 1 a little bit ago and I really enjoyed it, but Volume 2 just wasn't in my library for a long time because everyone else was checking it out. I guess everyone else enjoyed it too. So I finally was able to grab it and read it and I really enjoyed it. So a quick recap of Volume 1, and if you don't want to hear Volume 1 or have Volume 1 be spoiled, then maybe don't listen to this. But the main character, which is this man right here, he lives in Japan with his daughter Kana. His name is Yaichi. Yaichi had a brother named Ryoji, I believe is how you say his name, and he came out as gay and wound up moving to Canada and marrying a man. And homosexuality in Japan is not really as accepted as it is in perhaps in the Western countries, and a lot of the men either keep it a secret, as we see one of the people in this book does, or it's kind of like a shameful thing, so it's not really as accepted. And Yaichi had a really conflicting feeling about his brother being gay, and kind of they never really addressed it. Well, unfortunately, while his brother was in Canada, he married Mike. Not unfortunately, he got married. He married this man named Mike, and he wound up passing away. That was the unfortunate part. So Mike has now come back to Japan because he had made a promise to Ryoji that he wanted to visit Japan, and now he's meeting Yaichi and his daughter Kana. And Mike and Kana really start to get along, and this Volume 1, and it continues in Volume 2, is kind of about Yaichi coming to recognize some of his own prejudices, but then also kind of Mike recognizing that the society that Ryoji grew up in was very different from maybe the one that he grew up in terms of acceptance of the man he married and the acceptance of being a gay man. It's just very different in Japan. So it's kind of a two-way street in which Yaichi is learning things about himself and kind of making peace with his brother's death, but Mike is also learning that maybe this isn't as accepted, or I think he kind of understood that it wasn't as accepted. But there's a scene in this book where he winds up meeting a previous friend of his late husband's who is also gay and who makes it very clear that he has no intention of coming out, and he's okay with just, well, maybe not okay, but he's just decided that he'd rather just keep that part of him hidden away, which Mike really can't understand or reconcile with his Canadian background, because to him that would be more painful than coming out. That was kind of my reading of that whole scene. So this book is, like I said, a continuation of kind of this discovery of these three people as they learn. Kana's really cute. She's a young little girl. She's in elementary school, and she is kind of having her eyes open for the first time to both the fact that there are gay men in the world, because before this there's something she hadn't really been subject to, and that's because of the culture of kind of not expressing that in Japan, which is my understanding from reading this book. And so Kana kind of has that wide-eyed child innocence about the whole thing, and she doesn't really see why like the adults in her life maybe don't like that as much. So for example, she has friends whose parents aren't really a fan of it, and in this book she forgets a recorder at home, so Mike runs it over to the school so she can play it for her music class because she has a grade, and a teacher winds up reporting the whole situation to Kana's father because he feels like it's not really a good situation for her uncle to be at home with her. Just he thinks it's going to be a bad influence. So really this book is just, like I said, a continuation of them kind of learning about each other's cultures, and kind of also Yaichi finding peace with the fact that his brother is now deceased, and finding that acceptance of his brother, even though it's too late for him to be alive. He wants to really make things right so he can have that peace in his life. They wind up taking Mike to go meet Yaichi's parents, who are deceased, but they go to the cemetery and pay their respects, and Yaichi takes some time to kind of, I guess, introduce Mike to the family and kind of, yeah, close this chapter. I don't know if close the chapter of this life is correct, but it really kind of brings some closure. That's the word I was looking for. Brings some closure to the fact that he wasn't able to address this with his brother when he was alive, which is a regret of his, but he is able to kind of comes to terms with this now, and he's definitely grown. And Yaichi's ex-wife, who they co-parent together with Kana, kind of points out, like, you've grown. This interaction with Mike has made you grow as a person, which is kind of really the heartwarming part of this whole series. At the end, Mike goes back to Canada. He was only in Japan for a couple weeks, but there's a hint that maybe they'll come together in the future because they are indeed family, and Yaichi makes it really clear that he is family and he is his brother's husband, he is Kana's uncle, and he is welcome as family. So that was I believe this is the last one in the series. I believe it was just 2 volumes, but this was very, very heartwarming. I really recommend the series. I really, really did enjoy it. I wish I hadn't taken such a big gap between volume 1 and volume 2, but that was kind of unavoidable because, well, I could have gone to a store and purchased the volume, but because I mostly read my books from the library, I had to wait for the library to return it. So the first couple pages was just me remembering how everything worked. I felt like Kana's mom was deceased for some reason, even though that was addressed in the first volume. So I had forgotten some things, but overall this was a very, very good book. I really, really enjoyed it. This was a high 4-star read for me, and I really like the series. The author, actually, Gengoroh Tagame, someone walked by, has written a lot of, my understanding is he's written a lot of erotic gay fiction through his life, and this is kind of his first all ages manga. And you might think that someone branching out into a genre or a style that he is not familiar with might lead to like a weaker art form, but he clearly is a master and he did a really, really good job with this. It doesn't show any of the weakness of like trying to branch into a new genre, a new type of writing that he's not familiar with. I think he does a fantastic work. Unfortunately, gay erotic fiction is not really my cup of tea, so I'm probably not going to be reading anything else by him, or at least nothing in that kind of genre that he has written. But if you're interested in that, maybe check it out. It says in the back flap that he has won some awards for his work, so I'm sure he's very, very good. And if it's anything like the quality of this, then he's done a very good job. And I really just recommend this book. And if you haven't read it or haven't even heard of it, I've heard a lot about this, so I assume you've heard about it too. Give it a read and let me know what you think. Other than that, everyone, I hope you have a really great day. Thank you.